They just don't stop coming back. And this time, I don't even sound like myself in the fucking movie. You know, I'm just tired of it already, guys. Nev Campbell, she just won't go away. Not to mention Doofus O'Reilly over there. And Gail, take a look at me because I want to be famous Weathers. They just keep coming fucking back. No matter what I do to get rid of these little bitches, they keep coming back. And this time, they brought along Patrick Dempsey, Jenny McCarthy, and Parker fucking Posey. Yeah, that really annoying vampire bitch from Blade Trinity. And like I said, this time, I don't even sound like myself. Some fucking producer somewhere must have thought it would have been a good idea to use a voice changer that makes everybody sound like everybody else, which does nothing but telegraph who the fucking killer is. Just because something's new doesn't make it better. You know what? Fuck this. Oh. That poor Ghostface, man. He sure does have some issues. Well, guys, today we are talking about Scream 3. Directed by Wes Craven in the year 2000. This is the third chapter in the Scream franchise. And whereas the first one spoofed horror movies, and the second one spoofed horror sequels, or maybe not spoofed is the right word, but, you know, it meta whatever those movies, I can't think today, I'm tired. This one goes after trilogies. Now our story is that 3 years after the events of part 2, Sidney Prescott has changed her name and kind of gone into hiding, and she uses a crisis intervention hotline to help other people that go through trauma and post-traumatic stress, such as she dealt with from the first 2 films. Meanwhile, the Stab franchise is up and running, and they are also on their part 3. And a new Ghostface has decided to target the cast members of Stabbed to draw Sidney Prescott out of hiding. Dewey is there as a technical advisor, Gail Weathers is there seeking out a story, and it all kind of brings everybody back into the fold. Now, this is a film that gets a lot of hate from horror fans. Personally, I think it's a little bit unjustified. But I do have to say this time around when I watched this movie, I caught a lot more of the silliness in it than I did before, and I can see why some people hate on this film, but at the same time, there was a couple silly parts that I really enjoyed. The critics didn't really like this one. They said that this movie has become exactly what the franchise started out spoofing in the first place. So they kind of figured that, you know, the franchise just had run its course by this point, and, you know, I think they really thought 1 and 2 were good enough by themselves. I'm going to get my cons out of the way, guys, because I just want to get rid of those first. The first con that I have is, as Ghostface talked about, the new voice changer. Instead of making his voice sound really cool and badass, like Ghostface, the voice changer made it sound like everybody else. Now, here's my problem with that. How did he get everybody else's voices? Especially Sidney's. How did he do that? Doesn't make any sense. Or the mother's. Didn't make any sense. I don't like the fact that it really, really helped telegraph the killer. You know what? Spoilers, guys. The killer is the director of Stab, who just happens to be Sidney Prescott's long-lost, never-heard-of-before brother. I don't know if you can call it long-lost since you didn't know she even had one. But yeah, remember how back in part 1 we discovered that Mama was a hoe? Well, Mama did a lot of hoeing around a lot of places, including Hollywood, and she had a baby before Sidney, and then that baby tried to come back and live with them much later, and Mama said, no, don't fuck up my life, you're not part of my life, you're not my son, you know, and now he's all crazy looped out and holding a grudge. Personally, I really didn't think all that backstory needed to be there. I didn't think we needed the whole rewrite on the backstory. It kind of made everything a little more convoluted. But as I said, the voice changer telegraphs the killer. The fact that one of the killings is done when he calls somebody to his office, it telegraphs the killer. I knew who the killer was in this movie the first time I saw it from the first kill that he did practically. Well, not the first kill. The first kill was Cotton Weary. You know, after that, you could really tell who the killer was. There is a really goofy scene in this movie that I didn't like. It's the what I call the "It's Not Mine" cell scene. They are at one of the actresses. I don't remember her name in the movie. Her character's name. The one that plays Gail Weathers in the Stab movie. They're at her house and people are dying, and the cell phone starts ringing. Oh, it's not mine. Oh, it's not mine. Oh, it's not mine. I just thought that was so stupid, and they were really trying to like dig into that, early cell phone days kind of feel, and I just didn't like it. Don't get me wrong, I love Wes Craven, and I think just about everything Wes Craven touches is gold. But I can see why people had issues with this one. Patrick Dempsey. Okay, a lot of times I like Patrick Dempsey as an actor. In this, he was terrible. This guy really phoned this one in, man. I'm telling you, terrible fucking acting. He plays the cop, and it's just bad, 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 bad. Our killer Roman. I don't like his motivation, the whole backstory about his mother and Sydney. Like it's Sydney's fucking fault. Like she knew anything about it. It's a stupid reason to go on a killing spree. Yeah, I can see why people didn't like this. But then again, the original writer didn't come back who did Scream 1 and 2. And I'm surprised Wes did come back. I think Wes kind of came back because he'd seen so many of his franchises that he's worked on, that he started, like Nightmare on Elm Street, kind of go in a very different direction. And maybe he wanted to make sure this one didn't. Getting into the pros, though, guys, like I said, there are some things that I can see why people didn't like this movie. And some of it's some of the campy silliness of it. One of the campy silly points I really liked was the Jay and Silent Bob appearance. Now, if you guys remember, this movie came out right about the same time as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And in that movie, they're running around the Miramax lot trying to find the guys that play them in the movie. And they come across a Scream movie being done with Wes Craven as a guest. Also, I believe it was Alyssa Milano or somebody, even though she's not in the movies. And they reiterated that in this film, like, oh shit, that was when they were there, and that's what, Stab was being made. Not Scream, but Stabbed was being made. Stab, whatever. It was being made, and Jay and Silent Bob were there, and I liked that. I thought it was cool, but I like anything that shows Jay and Silent Bob. I love those guys. While I said that the cell phone scene at the actress's house was stupid, I love the kill in that scene. It was a gas kill, and the house blows up because the gas is left on, and I liked that. It was a first for the franchise. Most of the killings in this franchise are stabbings, so it was kind of cool to see something quite a bit different. And I think the effect they used was pretty cool too. Maybe a little dated now, but it looked good. I love the settings of the studio, and I love the setting of the mansion at the end, especially because it has all the hidden passageways and stuff. I thought that was really cool. It really reminded me of old school Hollywood stuff. I really like that. A big pro here is I love the soundtrack. Now, do I have to turn in my metal card and my Juggalo card if I say that I like Creed? Because I do. I've always liked Creed. I thought they were a good band. And I've always thought they were very good, very talented, and I liked them. So there's a lot of Creed in this soundtrack. But there's also Slipknot, Powerman 5000, Sepultura. There's some good shit on this soundtrack, man. It's a really bomb soundtrack in my opinion. Final pro here, guys, and it's not the biggest pro. It's not what makes this movie good, but I like this pro. Is Cotton Weary finally fucking dies. I hated his character throughout this whole franchise, and I am so glad to see him go. And he went in the first few minutes of the film. Thank God he is gone. I hated Cotton Weary. He was terrible. Overall, though, guys, I still say that I do like Scream 3. It's not the best in this franchise, but I've seen a lot of movies that are way worse than this one. So, with that being said, guys, this is BroncoJuggalo. I'll say goodbye on behalf of Ghostface. Until next time, peace.
Hey. Hey, hey.
Call me the dead body man. You can call me the dead body man.